أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. By the request of our viewers on YouTube and on other social media platforms, especially on Facebook, we are here to grant the wish made by some people that from our experience we should give them tips, things we think may be of help to them in terms of how they're gonna go about the memorization of the Quran. First of all, we are going to talk about the stages that one needs to follow when trying to memorize the Quran. First of it all, the person in question, the one trying to memorize the Quran, has to be able to read the Quran very well. In the absence of this stage, in any case where the person involved may not be able to read the Quran very well, I think it will be of so much difficulty when he or she is trying to memorize. Second of it all, you must be able to read the Quran very well while respecting the rules of tajweed. You should be able to read the Quran with tajweed very well. Reading the Quran with tajweed makes it so much easier to memorize. In the absence of tajweed, I think it will be somewhat difficult to memorize. You would have to be able to tell how much of the verses will be convenient for you to memorize. Some people can memorize one verse at a time. Some people can memorize 2, others 3, others 4, 5, depends on the person in question. We all have our differences in terms of how strong our memories are. The recommended number of verses for memorizing, it's 5 universally. That's what most of the Hufaz are saying. You should be able to memorize 5 verses, let's say, anytime you want to memorize. So, though that's what is recommended, but some people might not be able to do that. Some people, their capacity may allow them to memorize just 1 or 2 or 3, and some people, the capacity of their memory may be able to allow them to memorize even 10, 15 verses. So you would have to be able to tell where you belong, whether you can memorize more than 5 or less than 5. It depends on the person in question. The next stage is to look into the Quran. Figure out where you want to start memorizing from. You take the number of verses you think would be convenient for you. You read it very carefully, making sure that all the words and the letters are pronounced appropriately while respecting the rules of tajweed. You should be able to read the Quran with tajweed and very well. Remember that these are the first or the 2 initial stages. So you should be able to read the Quran with tajweed and be able to pronounce all the words and the letters appropriately while looking inside the Quran. That's the 3rd or the next stage. If you're able to do that, you read it for some number of times. You may read it for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times, 15 times. Though the recommended number of times you should read while looking inside when trying to memorize, some people say 10, others say 15. And as I stated earlier, it all depends on the person in question. If you think 5, 10 times would be okay for you to be able to get into your head, that's onto you. And if you think 30 times is what would be enough for you to be able to get it into your head, that's onto you too. So if you think 5 times would be okay for you, fine. You look inside the Quran while reading for the number of times you think would be convenient or would be okay for you to memorize. After that, you try closing the Quran and reading off head. Close the Quran and try reading off head. Be able to tell whether what you have read has taken to your mind or not. If it has, then you read off head, much more than how many times, the number of times you read while looking inside the Quran. If, for example, when you were looking inside the Quran, you read it 5 times, Then after you have closed the Quran and you are now reading off head, you should read like 10 times, much more than what you read was looking inside. After that, then you give yourself some time, let's say 1 hour, 2 hours sometime. Come back and try reading off head what you've read sometime, like some few minutes or some few hours ago. What you have read some few minutes or some few hours ago is still in your mind or not. I think these are the stages or the processes we think might be of help to those who are asking. From our experience, the little experiences we have had, though we've maintained that we are students and we are still learning, this is what we think may be of help to you. At this juncture, we are going to practicalize what we have stated, the stages or the processes we have talked about, and see how it's going to be done practically. And in this role, I'm going to play the role of a teacher, and my brother Rahmatullah is going to play the role of a student. You will have to pay attention very well to see a practical situation of what we have said earlier. Maybe you might not be able to understand what we have said in rhetorics, but from the practicals, I'm sure you'll be able to get something, inshallah. I think we are going to read Surah Al-Mulk to practicalize all that we have said. For example, let's assume you go to a teacher, like you've gone to someone who's going to teach you how to memorize the Quran. I think sometimes this is not the only way you might be taken through, but this is just one of the ways. In case you have gotten yourself a teacher. Let's start by reading Surah Al-Mulk, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير.
تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير.
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا.
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا.
وهو العزيز الغفور.
وهو العزيز الغفور.
الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا.
الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا.
ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت.
ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت.
فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور.
فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور.
ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير.
ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير.
ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين.
ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين.
وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير.
وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير.
صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صدق الله العظيم.
I think we have read 5 verses, and then so like he's going to recite it maybe the number of times he thinks would be sufficient for him to be able to get it into his head. So he's going to read what we have read the number of times he thinks would be okay. As I stated earlier on, it depends on you, the one trying to memorize. Someone might read this one maybe just once and it will be okay for him to get it into his head. Someone has to read this 30 times before they get it. It depends on you. And maybe we have read 5 verses. Maybe someone might not be able to read the 5 verses. Someone has to read just 1 or 2. And someone think the 5 verses maybe is too small. He might read 10 or 15 verses. It depends on you. So let's get back into the practice.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير.
So according to him, he said maybe when he read just once, he'll be able to get that into his memory. So he's going to close the Quran and try reciting of it. If he's able to do that, that means he can move on to the next verses, to the next set of verses. And if he's not able, he would have to go back again, make the corrections, and then come back again, inshallah. So he's going to close the Quran and try reading of it.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير صدق الله العظيم.
So from what he said, he has been able to get, this is just an example we've given, and this is not a real situation. So from just reading what we have read once, he's able to get that into his head. Someone might need 5 times or 6 times of reading that same page before they'll be able to get that into their head. So it all depends on who is reading and how fast you can get things into your head, inshallah.